Hello guys, welcome to Brahma Music Lesson 3. I can say today is one of the simplest, easiest and cheapest lessons we are going to have here at Brahma Music School, because the lesson that we are going to have today contains many things that we have already learned in the previous lessons. We looked at staff, the meaning of a staff, we looked at clefs and all the sort. So today we are going to look at something called the grand staff, a grand staff. So you are seeing the word staff there, which means this lesson is not too far from something that you've already had in the previous lessons. So if you understood the meaning of a staff, you understood how many things which are contained in a staff and how it looks like, then this is the simplest for you. Let's get moving. A grand staff is a combination of two staffs to write four parts or voices together. A grand staff is just a combination of two staffs. If we already learned about a staff which has an F-clef, and also we learned a staff which had a C-clef, and the last one was a staff which had a G-clef. So here we are going to combine two staffs, the one which has a G-clef and the one which has an F-clef. And we understood that a staff which has a G-clef looks this way, and the one which has an F-clef looks the other way. And we are now going to put these two staffs together, and when we put them together, they make something called a grand staff. Simple now, you see. The two staffs combined contain two clefs in them. Each clef is in one staff. Yeah, I'm sorry, there's the third word in this second line. The two staffs is supposed to be the two staffs. The R is a mistake anyway. Let's go. This is how a grand staff looks like. You can see there is the first staff above, the first 5 lines with the edgy clef on top. There is a middle line, a short middle line, and below there is another staff with an F clef. So this is how a grand staff looks like. Just simple as this, just do like this. You see there is something on the left hand side of the two clefs. There is a line which connects the two staffs. At the end also there's another line which connects the two staffs, the straight line which is vertical. And if you look at the left hand side, there's something called a tie which ties the two staffs together. Yeah, this is basically how a grand staff looks like, and we're going to build up on that. So I want to take you back to the previous lesson, how the G-clef staff, what is its contents, what are the names of the lines there, and also for the F-clef. Let's look at this first one, the G-clef staff. The G-clef staff, we said that the second line, and we said we count these lines from below, line 1, line 2, 3, up to 5 from below. I think you remember that. So we say that the line 2 is touched by this clef many times, and that line takes the name of the clef, G. So below G is F, and below F is E, below E is D. Above G is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like that, going upwards. And we said that the alphabets used in music are only 7. That is A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. After G, you begin from A again. You cannot go to H because the H is not there. Let's look at the F clef stuff. This is how it looks like. And we said line 4 is the one which has been touched by this F clef more times than any other line. Therefore, that line 4 takes the name of the F clef and becomes line F. Now, because it is line F, the line 4 is called F. So above it there's a space called G. Above G there's A. Above A there's B. And if there was another line above that B, that line could be given the name C. In that order. Coming downwards from F, we have there is a space E, line D, line C, space C, line B, and line A. Below line A, we have again, we are going to begin from G. That line is called G. We have just not indicated there, but that's how it looks like. This is just something we already looked at, and I know it's nice. It's nice for you. You are remembering some things. Yeah, it is just simple. I said the lesson is simple, and you see how it's simple. Now the combined staffs or the grand staff, we had looked at it in the third slide. We looked at it. This is how it looks like. You can see in the middle of the two staffs there's the upper staff with the G clef and the F clef staff below. In the middle there's a straight red line which is cutting a letter C. We will look at what is the sense or what is the essence of that line there. Let's look at the lower staff from F, where F is. That is the fourth line, which is given the name of that clef. So above it there is a space and above that space there's a line which is given the letter A. So the space between F and A is called space G, as we had looked at before, and above that letter A there is a space also. That space must be given the name B, because the next letter after A in ascending order is B. And therefore, if there was a line above that space, there's line A, and there's a B on the space. If there was a line above that space, that line will be given the name C, and that's why we have the red line there. The red line there means that if there was a line there, if we are not saying there's a line there, but if there was a line there, that line will be given the name C, because it is after line A, there is a space B, and above that space B, there must be a line which is supposed to be called C. So that's the essence of that line C. If we are coming from the lower staff, let us look at the upper staff, the G-clef staff. The G-clef staff, we said that line 2 is called G, and when we are coming downwards from line G, we come into a space called F, space F, and below that space F, there is a line E. Below line E also there is another space, and that space has to be given the name D. And we know that below D, if that space is D, so the line which could have been below that space D will be called the line C, because when you are coming from E to D, the next one is C, and we are saying E, we are looking at the E there, it is in the line, therefore the space below it is D, and if there was a line below that D is a space, that line will be given the name C. That's why we have the line C there, which is cut in the middle. That line C is called the middle C, because if you're going from the lower staff of F-clef, you will get to that C. If you're coming from the upper staff of the G-clef, you will still get to that C, and that C connects the two staffs. I hope you're getting this, that the C in the middle is called the middle C, and it's a connection between the two staffs. It connects the upper staff of G-clef and the lower staff of the F-clef. We shall look more on the C, on the middle C. I think you can even look at it from, let's count from the line F here, the F-clef staff. Line F, then there's G, the space G, which is not written G. Above it there's line A. Above that A there is a B, and then above the B, which is supposed to be in the space between A and C, there is now the C in the middle. Look at the C in the middle. Above that C there is a space. That space is called D, and above that D there is now the first line of the G-clef staff, which is given the name E, going upwards like that. You see the connection there, A, B, C, D, E, and it goes higher up like that. So this line called C here, it's an imaginary line. It's an imaginary line. Get that? It is not, because we said the staff has only 5 lines, and it's five lines. It cannot be 6, 7, 8, or 10, whatever. It is just 5, and not below 5 or not above 5. So mark that. So that line C, the line cutting C, is an imaginary line, and we are going to look at it from here. There's something called a ledger line. A ledger line is an imaginary line used to extend the range of a staff. Let's look at this one here. We have seen that the staff has 5 lines, only 5 lines. There's the upper staff of the G-clef and the lower staff of the F-clef. There's the C, which is cut by a red line. That red line is an imaginary line. Therefore, that line cutting C is an imaginary line, and it's given the name ledger line. That's the meaning of the first statement here. That's the meaning of a ledger line. Consider that a staff is made up of only 5 lines, as I said. If your note should be sounded that is below or above the 5 lines of a staff, then a ledger line is introduced in order to represent such note perfectly. If you must represent the note that lies in the line C, when that line, the line where that is cutting C, if that line was not there, and you want to represent a note that is supposed to be there, then you introduce a short line, and that line is supposed to cut C, just to cut C. It's not supposed to be as long as the red line, but it's short. I will show you how short it is. Look at these ones here. These are ledger lines. There is the F-clef here in the staff. These are ledger lines because they are extending the range of this stuff. This stuff is supposed to have only and only 5 lines. I said only and only 5 lines. But you can see that there are lines below here, the first on the from from the F-clef going to your right hand side, there's the two lines below, like dash, and they are short. Those lines are not real lines, they are imaginary lines, but they normally draw them as short as that. There are the next ones, which are four, I think five of them again. Those ones also are ledger lines. Ledger lines can be 2, they can be 1, they can be 4, like that. Yeah, that's how ledger lines look like. They are just used to extend the range of a staff. If you want to represent a note which is above the 5 lines, use a ledger line and it will directly take you to that note. That's an example of a ledger line. That's how they look like. Here is the middle C in put into notes. This is how it looks like. We are looking at putting notes, or our, yes, let's say notes. We are seeing many crochets here before going to the middle C. We are seeing many crochets on the F-clef stuff. We are also seeing another many crochets on the G-clef stuff. So in the middle of them, in the middle of the lower stuff and the upper stuff, there is that middle C, and it is the note that lies there is cut by a ledger line. Ledger line is as short as that, and not as long as the red line that we had seen before. It's supposed to be as short as this. That red line was just put there to show you that this is the boundary between the two stuffs. Here is the middle C. The middle C. I'm curious. I feel like you understanding this thing. I feel like I should even see you there right away and ask you some questions about this middle C, and I see how you're answering them, because this is very fantastic, and it is simple. Yeah, sure, it is simple. This is how the middle C also looks like if you're using the real grand stuff. This is a grand stuff as well. This is a grand stuff too. And this one is just made to show you how a grand stuff looks like, because it does not have any notes. It has just been put there like a general or a way to show you how basically a grand stuff looks like, as we had seen in the first. I think the second slide should be the second slide. Here we are seeing a grand stuff. We are seeing the middle C. It is written here middle C with pointed by a bold arrow. The grand stuff on the left hand side, that before after the grand stuff, there is that tie. That's a tie to show that the two stuffs are put together. And at the end, there are two lines, parallel lines. Actually they are parallel. One is thicker and the other one is not thicker. And those two lines, which are vertical, those lines are called the double bar line. Double bar line. We are going to look at them just here. We are not going far. In music theory, there are many things that we learn, and for this stuff to look like this, for this stuff to look like this, for many other stuffs to look like the way they normally look, because we can have the same stuffs, but the things that are inside them are different. For such kind of things, there are things called bars or measure. A bar is also called a measure. So we are going to look at a bar or a measure and a bar line. What are they? Here we say that the last two lines here, which are vertical, are called the double bar line. Then what are they then? Here, I got this one from Google. On the 2nd of November 2021, Google updated the meaning of a bar line and a bar or a measure. They said that in music theory, a measure or a measure is another name of a bar, refers to a single unit of time featuring a specific number of beats played at a particular tempo. Get that? A bar or a measure is a single unit of time featuring a specific number of beats, played at a particular tempo. If your tempo allows you to play 2 beats per measure or per bar, so after every 2 beats, after writing every 2 beats, you put a bar line. A bar line is just a vertical line, cutting across the five parallel lines of the staff. Just the vertical line cutting across the lines of the staff. That's what is called a bar line. So after every 2 beats, you put a bar line to show that that's one measure or one bar. And then you put another 2 beats. After those 2 beats, you put another bar line to show that the second measure is gone, just like that. They are saying that measures are designated by vertical measure lines. You see, measures are designated by vertical measure lines or bar lines. Measure lines or bar lines that run perpendicular to the staff. I said they are vertical, and because the staff is horizontal, the staff lines are horizontal, and this bar line or the measure line is vertical, it means they are perpendicular. That's the meaning of such a statement, and we are going to look at them here. We are seeing the G-clef, and if this was our measure is up there. You are seeing there is a measure. The line cutting a measure that shows that this is one measure is called a bar line. And after that bar line, you start another measure. At the end of that measure, you put another bar line. That's why you have the second bar line there in the second measure. This is simple, very simple, ideas. Yeah, music is really nice. Look at this one here. We have the G-clef and the F-clef. We have time signature 4/4 and 4/4 also below. We are going to look at the time signature later in the next lesson, not here. But I want you to see how the bar line looks like. The below here, you are seeing something written measure stroke bar or measure or a bar in the first arrow here, which is pointing up. That's a measure. And the arrow up there shows that the arrow pointing downwards, that shows that that's a bar line, and it's the boundary for the first measure and the second measure, or the first bar and the second bar. It cuts the two bars. It defines that on the right hand side is a full bar, and on the left hand side is another bar, which we will not be sure that it's full until we see another bar line ahead, which we are seeing there. And at the end of all the bar lines, we put a double bar line to show that the stuff is ending there. That's why we have this last part here, double bar line. It's called not double bar, but double bar line. They are double like that to show that the stuff has ended. And I'd say that this is an easiest, the simplest, short, and yeah, nice thing. Yeah, this lesson has been fantastic for me. I feel it has been the simplest lesson ever, and I feel the same for you. You're also feeling the same thing. I wish even I could give you some questions, you answer them. Yeah, I will be happy to see my students performing well in this thing. This has been simple as this, and my yes, I welcome you again to the next lesson, which will feature the things called the time signature. Here we are seeing 4/4/4/4. What are they? We don't know. We are still not yet there. We are going to look at them in the next lesson, and I'm very much happy. I'm happy. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you're following my work, and this one really keeps me moving. I'm happy. I'm very happy, my dears, and thank you for watching. Subscribe, please, and like, comment if you didn't understand anything. I know you